Democrats have always had a hold on the youth vote, but more young men are shifting to the right. But are they actually going to head out to vote? That's the question.
Yeah, that's the question. The media is certainly hoping not, because, then their propaganda efforts will have failed. And Joseph Goebbels will be unhappy with them. So many crazy people out of their cages. Some encouraging news here and there. The Washington Times with a front page story on Obama's influence slipping among black voters. African-American voters recollect a better time during the Trump era. Imagine that. Gosh, the economy and peace and control over our border and crime was less. And then they lie to us about everything. The FBI got caught lying to us about the crime stats, the Department of Justice, the Bureau of Justice Statistics, lying to us about the crime statistics and all that crazy stuff. I am telling you, it is crazy out there. Now, I've got some audio, and we shared a couple of African-American voters. One, the nice lady in Michigan who laughed and said she's Trump all the way now, just wonderful. And a young man in Atlanta saying he's a communist, and he voted for Kamala Harris because early voting and stuff.
Did you vote outside? What, did you write somebody in? Or?
No, I'm a realist, but I'm a communist.
You're a realist and a communist?
Yeah.
So who did you vote for?
Kamala.
And a communist votes for Kamala because?
Because you have to be realistic but still hold the ideals of communism, I'd say.
He doesn't know a lot of words, I think. His lexicon is limited. Pretty extraordinary stuff. Yes, sir. I'm telling you now, I was watching the television early this morning here on the East Coast, and the sun was not even up yet when I was watching the television in the 5 a.m. hour. And there were a couple of guests. There were a couple of guests on remarkable stuff. A young man with Campus Reform, the Leadership Institute, runs Campus Reform, one of the great websites on Al Gore's amazing internet. College students write for Campus Reform, cover what is going on their college campuses for Campus Reform. And a young man named Michael Duke of Campus Reform, the Leadership Institute. My friends over there, I have friends over there at the Leadership Institute, a great and noble institution doing good stuff. And Michael Duke, young man, college student, writing for College Reform. Hey, what do you see going on college campuses with your peers?
Young students are slowly shifting a little bit to the left, but the vast majority, and oftentimes referred to as the silent majority of students, are conservative, libertarian, or independent, leaning right. And that's exactly the messaging in this last video that we saw from President Trump that students want. Students have been plagued by far-left narratives in the classroom, Marxism in the classroom, and just outright stupidity pushed by professors and administrators. And Trump's message is one that resonates with students.
Far-left Marxism in the classroom. Got this communist voter in Atlanta who voted for Kamala. The brainwashing, the indoctrination will continue until the death camps are stood up. The left is here. They are not liberals. Michael Duke, college student, Campus Reform.
I was in 7th grade when Trump was elected in 2016. I grew up with Trump, and I also grew up with the Biden-Harris regime. And I've seen the stark contrast between two administrations, and Donald Trump is the smarter choice, and students are starting to realize this more.
Just great stuff, and obviously an intelligent young man. He was in 7th grade when Trump became president, or when he came down the escalator. He was in 7th grade. Isn't that amazing? And now he's a college student. He's writing for Campus Reform, and he's obviously got a good deal of common sense. He's a smart young man. And he's, the two administrations. He saw the Trump administration. Now he's seen 4 years of Biden and Harris. And if that doesn't make up your mind for you, then you might need a new mind, because that is problematic. And then a nice young woman named Jamie Franklin was also on the television. And she is a conservative college student with the Conservator. ending with a T-E-U-R, the conservator. And she is obviously a conservative young woman, a college student, and she's talking about, again, what is going on the brainwashing factories the brainwashing factories that we call college campuses.
I think you're going to see a huge shift in the youth vote this election that we've never seen with the Republican Party before. Young people are sick of the woke agenda. They're over this ideology being shoved down their throat. Kids are going down to Southern schools because they want to go to normal college campuses.
Normal.
And a lot of people my age don't feel like they're growing up in the same America that our parents got.
You are correct. Those people are absolutely correct that the freest, fairest country in the history of humankind, quite literally, not that we get a 100 score on everything. There will never be perfection. You know, Thomas Jefferson wrote about this, that, you know, your goal is always to aspire to perfection as a culture, as a country, knowing that you will never achieve it because it's completely, you know, the communist said he's a realist. Achieving perfection is an impossibility and will never happen. But you aspire to perfection. You aspire to perfect your culture, your constitutional republic, knowing that you will never get there because things change beneath your feet and all of that. But young Jamie Franklin, and I love that she used normal. Because, you know, remember normal, like at the Chris Plant store with our T-shirts and our coffee mugs and so on. Remember normal. And it's slipping further and further away. And we're raising generations who have very little memory of what normal really is because the left is sinking their vampire-like teeth into the jugular vein of our civilization and sucking the lifeblood out of it like the vampires that they are. Young Jamie Franklin, tell you about, hey, you know, people are noticing she's looking for a resurgence of common sense. People are aspiring to normal. We're not growing up in the country that their parents, now college students, their parents are whatever in their 40s, and even those parents came from a completely different culture because the left is tearing our guts out and eating our insides like Night of the Living Dead. It's kind of like Night of the Living Dead, you know? And here's Jamie Franklin.
It's so expensive to buy groceries. Rent is through the roof. It's impossible to buy a house these days when you're in your 20s. And I think that Americans, especially young Americans, want to go back to what we had before. And I think you're going to see, like I said, record turnout from young people going conservative. Especially
young voters want to go back to what we had before. I love these people. And honestly, we need a generation to save us from the generation that's in charge right now. But what generation is that? Because it goes from Joe Biden. Kamala Harris just turned 60 years old last week, I think, right? And Joe Biden, you know, this is one of my favorite stats about Joe Biden. On the day that Joe Biden was born, that date was closer to Abraham Lincoln's inauguration than it was to Joe Biden's inauguration. That is a true statement. That is a fact. The day that Joe Biden was born, that date was closer to Abraham Lincoln's second inauguration. Then he was shot in the head and murdered by a Democrat and an actor, the first Republican president assassinated, right? 3 more presidents assassinated later, 2 of them Republicans, one of them John F. Kennedy, shot and killed by a communist or by the deep state. You choose. Donald Trump shot, Gerald Ford shot at twice by crazy women, including a member of the Manson family. Ronald Reagan shot, and that lunatic is on the loose selling T-shirts to Democrats, John Hinckley. Remarkable stuff. The Democrat Party is and has always been violent. They gave us the Civil War. They assassinated the first Republican president, and their list of accomplishments goes on and on. Also this morning on the television, Peter Deutsch. Peter Deutsch is a former Democrat member of the House of Representatives from the state of Florida, and now he's for Trump. And again, he was like Tulsi Gabbard, who we didn't really get to the other day, but Tulsi Gabbard has switched to the Republican Party. She was a Democrat member of the House of Representatives from Hawaii. She's a military officer, an actual combat veteran, unlike Tim Walz, who was neither a combat veteran nor a command sergeant major. But never mind that. Peter Deutsch, former Democrat member of the House of Representatives, and he's out campaigning for Trump. It's kind of amazing. Peter Deutsch, former Democrat, member of the House, now a Trump supporter.
I think everyone is going through a process in their minds who to vote for president. And for me, the most important job of the President of the United States is to achieve and maintain peace in the world. President Trump, for 4 years, we had peace, we had prosperity, we had no wars. The Harris-Biden administration, we've had 4 years of wars, death, and destruction.
4 years of war, death, and destruction. Other than that, and it's Peter Deutsch is campaigning for Trump and the Republicans in Pennsylvania. It's a key swing state. You know, there's all this key swing state stuff is completely ridiculous. Man, oh, man. Yes, sir. ABC News Ipsos has a Who is a Fascist poll. Registered voters. 49% say Donald Trump is a fascist. 22% say Kamala Harris is a fascist. And the poll was taken before the New York Times planted the "Is Trump a Fascist" story so that Kamala could jump on it with Manderson Pooper, so that Hillary Clinton could jump on it with whatever useless nub at CNN. Fascist, who's got the fascist? And then there's the Tulsi Gabbard stuff. She was campaigning on the stage with President Trump. And again, Tulsi Gabbard, Hawaii surfer, member of Congress, Democrat member of Congress. A couple of months ago, she left the Democrat Party and declared herself to be an independent. And the other day, on stage with President Trump, she said, "It's official, I'm a Republican now." Now, former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, who I met and spoke to, had a very nice conversation with her at Newsmax one evening. A very lovely person, wonderful person, and also a decorated veteran of combat zones as a member of the United States Army. She is a major or maybe a lieutenant colonel now as well in the reserves. And Tulsi Gabbard.
You know, I was a Democrat for over 20 years. Today's Democrat, thank you. Today's Democrat Party is completely unrecognizable, which points to the clear choice that we have in this election today.
Unrecognizable is the same word that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. used to describe today's Democrat Party, saying that his father, assassinated by Sirhan for being too pro-Israel, his father would not recognize today's Democrat Party. And his uncle, John F. Kennedy, assassinated by a communist or the deep state, you choose, also wouldn't recognize today's Democrat Party.
What's happened to the party? I don't think my father would recognize this party, and I don't think my uncle would recognize this party.
And Tulsi Gabbard, who was a Democrat member of the House of Representatives not so long ago, says that the party is unrecognizable. That's because it's not democratic. It's undemocratic and anti-democratic. No big deal, though. They'd like your vote. You know, football season is heating up. You notice that? And Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action while you're watching football. More than 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all of us. Very simple, easy-to-use app. You pick two or more players across any sport now, and then you pick more or less on their projections, and you could win up to 100 times your money. Prize Picks even invented what they call flex play. So you can still cash in. You can cash out if one of your picks doesn't hit. Come on, are you kidding me? That's the greatest. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code PLANT, Planty, Plante, and you're going to get a $50 credit instantly when you play only $5. That's the code PLANT on Prize Picks to get a $50 credit instantly when you play only $5. You don't even need to win to receive your $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Must be present in certain states where it's lawful to wager. Visit prizepicks.com for details and restrictions. Yeah. Yeah, the Democrat Party, and honestly, young voters, black voters, Latino voters, sane voters, former Democrat members of the House of Representatives, from Tulsi Gabbard to Peter Deutsch, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Who would vote for this insane fascist party?
He says he's going to be a dictator on day one.
Bring on that dictatorship.
A Biden-appointed federal judge is ordering the state of Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia, to reinstate illegal voters. They're non-citizen voters. But this Democrat woman judge appointed by Joe Biden to the federal bench, judge orders Virginia to restore 1,600 voter registrations canceled in effort to purge non-citizens. But the Biden administration wants illegal voters to be voting, and they instigated this fight with Virginia because they're incredibly corrupt and not on our side at all. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Peter calling from Tampa, Florida. Pedro, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, sir. Thanks for being so fantastic all the time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hey, listen, you remember Tom Coburn, the senator from Oklahoma?
Yes.
He used to publish every year, I think, the waste book.
Yes.
It was a listing of government waste and duplication. I think we should resurrect that and hand it to Elon Musk if we do get in, so that he can do some cleanup, because that book was amazing to read because there was so much duplication. There were 5 different departments that did the exact same thing, and it was such a waste of money, clearly. So that would be a good thing for Elon to handle.
I think you're absolutely right. You know they're targeting Elon Musk. They're threatening Elon Musk, right?
Yeah. I know. Luckily, he has good security.
Yeah, he's got to have good security, and he's talking about, recently he talked about how he's concerned about being targeted for assassination. He's definitely being targeted for prison by the fascist so-called Democrat Party. Like so many political enemies that they put in prison. I've got some Obama hypocrisy coming up on this subject, too. Obama's back on the campaign trail. African Americans for Trump is a very real thing. Latinos for Trump, according to the polls, very real thing. Communists for Kamala. That's we just played the audio for you on that. That's a very real thing too. All right, let's go to these. Bruce Springsteen has always bored me to death. I sing better than he does, and I'm not a singer. That's one thing. Now, he's made hundreds of millions of dollars. Is he a billionaire? I don't think he's a billionaire, but hundreds of millions of dollars. And he took the farmer tax credit for one of his estates, his estate in New Jersey. His daughter, as she gets like $1 million horses to do, fancy horseback riding, dressage and all that stuff. And flies around the world with her horse. How do you fly around the world with your horse? It's like you bring it on the plane with you, I guess, like a comfort animal or something like that. Oh, it's my horse. So Catherine the Great over here, but the amazing stuff. Bruce Springsteen bores me. And by the way, Born in the USA is an anti-American song. It's not a patriotic American song. It's an anti-American song. That whole born in the shut up. There it is. But he was there campaigning at a rally in Georgia yesterday because Stacey Abrams is still the governor there. They talk about election deniers. She's the queen of election deniers. But Bruce Springsteen was there. And what do they have? Vote for Kamala and the economy will be good and our borders will be secure and there'll be no war in the world. No, just attack Trump instead.
Donald Trump is running to be an American tyrant.
Spell tyrant.
He does not understand this country, its history,
he doesn't understand
what it means to be deeply American.
Yeah, or what it meant to be deeply, because Bruce Springsteen with his anti-American anthem, Born in the USA, that he understands our history. He's not a very bright guy, but in America you don't have to be very bright to make hundreds of millions of dollars. It happens Happens quite frequently. Amazing stuff. And he can't carry a tune in a bucket, but doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Kamala was at the Georgia rally, and guess what she did? She didn't say, here's what I'm going to do for you. Get one guess. Huh? That's right. She attacked Trump.
Over the last years, and in particular the last 8 years, Donald Trump has become more
particularly the last 8 years.
More unstable.
Joe Biden's Veep.
And more angry.
Joe Biden, Angry Joe.
You see it every day.
You see it every day. Yeah, sure, yeah. That's right. Hey, Joe Biden, what is you've seen it over the last 8 years? You didn't. Kamala couldn't be a bigger hypocrite, couldn't be a bigger clown. Just amazing. And then they brought out Barack Hussein Obama, who opened the floodgates, tens of billions in cash going to the Islamic Republic, the Islamic Revolution in Iran, so that they could fund Hezbollah and Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad and the Houthis and the ongoing war against Israel and firing hundreds of missiles into Israel, just looking to kill any Jew they can kill. Any random civilian is good enough. And Barack Obama allowing them, with Boltneck, John Kerry, to spin centrifuges and rich uranium, continue with their nuclear weapons program, which is what it is, when they write on the nose cones of their ballistic missiles, which they're also allowed to continue to develop and advance. And they write death to America, death to the great Satan, that's us, and death to Israel, death to the little Satan, that's Israel. And Barack Obama, the Hussein guy, he's the guy who green-lighted all of that for not on our side. Got to tell you. But Barack was there.
She got a plan to make your life better.
He's angry.
She's going to go after corporations that unfairly jack up prices.
Yeah, corporations.
She's going to make it easier to build and buy a home.
How is she going to do that? Make it easier? Well, the interest rates is what murdered the housing market, in particular for young people. A nice young lady, college student, Gen Z. We played audio a little earlier talking about how people in their 20s can't buy homes. It's not because we need Kamala Harris to build communist houses for us. It's because the economy and interest rates have to be such that younger people, and wasn't she just yelling about how Donald Trump has become angrier over the last 8 years? And then they bring up angry Barack to yell at the people?
We do not need 4 years of a wannabe king, a wannabe dictator running around trying to punish his enemies. That's not what you need in your life.
You're running around trying to punish his enemies, like George Papadopoulos and Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon, who the Biden administration all threw into prison for ginned up things that Hunter Biden does quite casually. Tara Reid, terrorized, had to flee the country after being sexually assaulted by Joe Biden. Elon Musk is being threatened with prison. Donald Trump is being threatened with prison. And you guys have the temerity to stand out there in public and say that he wants to be a dictator and he's going to chase his political enemies. You guys, are you kidding me? Just amazing, aren't you? And he's talking about how he's going to punish his enemies. Anybody remember, because we do, Barack Obama in 2010, along lines of race, of course, trying to encourage Latino voters to punish their enemies.
If Latinos sit out the election, instead of saying we're going to punish our enemies and we're going to reward our friends.
Fascist, you little Hitler, you cross-dressing Hitler, what? Just amazing. And again, whatever they accuse you of, it's the Russian playbook. It's what they're doing themselves. Yeah, he's going to want to punish his political. He's going to use the Justice Department and the FBI. Really, with all the pre-dawn raids you guys have had with CNN camera crews in tow, dragging Trump administration. And what did they do again? What was President Trump was given like 450 years in prison, something like that in New York, because of a non-disclosure agreement, which every television network news organization has entered into with myriad women over the years because of the conduct of their Matt Lauers, and the list is long but not distinguished. Isn't it amazing? Man, oh man. Bunch of fascists. I am telling you. Manderson Pooper had this little event with Kamala Harris night before last, and the great line from, I wish I could remember his name off the top of my head, from the Republican was that Kamala Harris had a debate against herself, and she lost. Perfectly good line. And Manderson Pooper is apparently taking a little heat from the left, naturally, because they're pretending that he asked tough questions, and they won't sit still for that.
I came across this whole inundation from people who are Harris supporters saying to me online today, like, how dare you, what a betrayal that you would ask her these questions.
No,
and I'm like,
your job.
You misunderstand what my job is. I'm not on MSNBC, and no disrespect, what they do is
MSNBC.
They're very talented.
Very talented hookers.
I don't watch it.
But I don't watch it. He doesn't. I'm not MSNBC. I'm not a political front man. Of course, he is a political front man, but that's not important. And is this where he was sitting there with Charlemagne, the misspelled God? And they got and they're talking over each other to agree with each other, you know. And it's not MSNBC. I'm not in politics. Yeah, sure you are. You're a front man for the Democrat Party. Don't kid yourself. But he felt the withering heat, the crushing pressure from the left, who are furious with him and angry with him. And he's like, hey, I don't pay attention to this stuff on social media, except, you know, here I am upset about paying attention to this stuff on social media where they're mean to me.
I'm not interested in watching what these overpaid blow-dried anchors think, and I include myself in that overpaid blow-dried, although I don't blow-dry. I am overpaid.
Dry.
But I'm not interested in the anchor's opinion. I'm interested in facts and letting the viewers make up their own minds.
What? That is crazy. That's completely nuts. Man, really upset that, but it's the left, of course, that were attacking him and threatening him and menacing him because he asked a question or two, but she's incapable of answering, so they attack, you know, it's called kill the messenger. That's the thing. It's probably got to have more security like Elon Musk because the left is here. And, you know, they shot Donald Trump once, tried to shoot him more than once. They shot Congressman Steve Scalise and nearly killed him, trying to kill an entire baseball team of Republican members of the House and Senate. And that was a one-day story. That was a suicide attack, too, by the way, that attack on the baseball field. Yet another Democrat suicide attack. Have we had any self-immolations today? Because it's been a while since a Democrat has self-immolated. Remember the guy self-immolated outside the Trump courthouse and killed himself in New York? Self-immolated at the Supreme Court, a Democrat, on Earth Day because he didn't want people putting smoke into the air. Remarkable stuff. President Trump yesterday was in Las Vegas, Nevada, at the University of Nevada at Las Vegas, UNLV, at the Turning Points USA gathering. Young, conservative, common sense people. And President Trump was there.
We will teach our children to love our country, to honor our history, and to always respect our great American flag. And I will put a bill before Congress that anybody burning our American flag goes to jail for 1 year automatically.
Automatically, 1 year, the crowd went wild, That, of course, reminded us of the Democrat burning the American flag at the Republican convention when he set himself on fire.
Move back! Watch it, you're on fire! You're on fire, stupid!
I just love the cop. He's trying. Hey, you're on fire. You're on fire, stupid. And he's a Democrat voter, so that's just great stuff. Now, I've got to say that the Supreme Court ruled many decades ago, that burning the American flag is an expression of free speech. It's an offensive expression of free speech to me, not to Hillary, but where, you remember at her nominating convention in Philadelphia, they forgot to bring any American flags. They had to go steal some American flag bunting from City Hall in Philadelphia because they forgot there were Palestinian flags and Mexican flags inside the hall, literally, but no American flags, not a single American flag. And it was pointed out, I think, only on the second day, and they had to go steal American flag bunting from the beautiful City Hall building in Philadelphia. It's almost like they're not on our side. Mother of pearl. for crying out loud. All right, let's see. You know, I before we go to another phone call, I just want to do this real quick because the movie star Mel Gibson, who's had some controversy in his life, it looked like he was at an airport or someplace, and somebody saw him and said, "Hey, Mel Gibson, who you voting for?"
The president is being voted on in days. What's your thoughts?
Oh man, that's a big question.
What's Trump?
I don't think it's going to surprise anyone who I vote for.
I don't think it's going to surprise anyone who I vote for. Well, I don't know, but you got to say it out. And he's walking, and the guy's following him, and he's being polite. Everybody's being polite. And then Mel said, "What do you mean you're voting for Trump?"
What do you think the world will be like in a second term with the President Trump's second term? A lot of people
I know what it'll be like if we let her in.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And that ain't good.
Yeah. Well,
miserable track record, appalling track record, no policies to speak of.
Yeah, and the border, right?
And she's got the IQ of a fence post.
Got the IQ of a fence post, Mel Gibson. Lots of good stuff. Interesting guy. Let's grab a quick phone call. Let's go to Philip, who used to live in Arlington. Philip, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, thanks for taking my call. The modern generals and admirals we have kind of have the MacArthur disease. They get fluffed so much with their drivers and their aides and their bodyguards and their chefs. They think they're bigger than the President of the United States. You know, Doug MacArthur thought lowly National Guard Captain Harry Truman was nobody. And the modern generals don't understand the people of the United States put Donald Trump into power. We're probably going to do it again. But they so despise the people that they actually despise the Constitution they're sworn to protect.
Well, and I've got to say that's an astute observation, several astute observations, actually, Philip. And you're right, Douglas MacArthur, who was a great general, but he believed that he was, an American Caesar of sorts, right? And rejected Harry Truman's authority tried to in the Korean War. And you're right, Ike, who was a lieutenant colonel in the Army and then temporarily promoted to colonel, then 1-star, then 2-star, then 3-star. And he was still technically a lieutenant colonel all the while. And Ike turned out to be pretty good. But I don't think we have Ike or even for that matter, Douglas MacArthur in the mix right now, do we?
No, we don't. And it's so sad because these generals get into this insular deep state. And then when they retire, they go off to corporate America and they make obscene amounts of money. And the whole time they think they're better than other people, and it's just so sad.
It is sad that this is the discussion that we're having about American generals, and it's Trump derangement syndrome and Trump hatred, and honestly, just madness, so much madness, and so little time. Crazy man, crazy. What can we get to? Do we have some JD Vance? I think we'll try to get some JD Vance before we begin our weekend, wacky though it may be.
You misunderstand what my job is. I'm not on MSNBC.
The New York Times has the latest polling, and I think they say it's their last poll before Election Day. Absolutely deadlocked at 48% to 48%. The New York filthy, rotten, dirty, stinking, lying Times. That's their official name, their long name. Harris and Trump deadlocked to the end. Final Times, Siena National Poll, 48% to 48%. That means your vote counts more than ever. Because you may be the deciding vote, like that Hollywood movie where one man's vote makes it. Now, yesterday, JD Vance did a town hall with Newsnation and Fredo Cuomo. Fredo got a job. And Fredo Cuomo, the Fredo of the crooked Cuomo family with his brother, the disgraced former Gubernur, Groper, and he's a disgraced former journalist. But J.D. Vance, because they're doing a lot of media, unlike Kamala and, Dipstick, but Fredo Cuomo and J.D. Vance.
Senator, you're going to want to sit down for this one.
Oh, no.
Not unlike Beetlejuice. If you invoke the former president's names too many times in a row, he's going to want to weigh in on what is being said.
They're doing the live town hall on the television, and who called in but President Trump?
I do have a question, and I think it'll be quite an interesting one. The answer should be easy.
How brilliant is Donald J. Trump?
Hey, somebody called in from the outside, had a question for JD Vance. JD Vance.
One of my favorite moments with President Trump is we were hosting an event for him near our home in Cincinnati a few months ago. And of course, my wife was a little bit nervous to really, talk to the president of the United States. And he asked her, what do you think about your husband being in public service? And she gives, if you know my wife, a very diplomatic answer. Sir, he really cares about the people of Ohio. He's thrilled to be able to serve them, and I'm happy to support him however I can. And President Trump chuckles and goes, yeah, my wife hates it too.
My wife hates it too. See a little, and everybody's happy and laughing and reporting. No screaming and yelling and Hitler in 1939 and lunacy.
That ability to relate to anybody in any environment, I think that's the true brilliance of Donald J. Trump.
I tell you so much, and listen to how cheerful and positive it is and happy it is, and our wives and telling jokes, and everybody's having a good time. Whereas the left-wing fascists, they just can't wait to start burning police cars again. Amazing stuff. Senator Mike Lee says that Kamala Harris, with their rhetoric, their Democrat Party rhetoric, says that Kamala is trolling for assassins with all the Hitler rhetoric. And, don't think that anything is over, because nothing is over, even after it's over. At this point, have a great American weekend.